5D Mystery School.
Welcome to the Know Thyself course. Blessings to you. Today, you are beginning a journey to unlock the mysteries of your birth chart. I am your instructor, Astro 5D. What you'll learn about the 12 houses, planets, signs, birth chart interpretation, and access lines. Your goal is to learn how to interpret your birth chart and to understand key astrological placements. Now, a bit about me. I am a Cancer sun. I'm a Virgo moon, and I am a Scorpio ascendant. In my first house, I have Pluto and I have Saturn, along with some other things. But since I am a Scorpio rising, that's all you're going to get. I created 5D Mystery School back in 2017. That's when it was established. And I also run a online herbal shop called Astro Herbs. That's right. You can find that at myastroherbs.com or astro5d.com. Once again, I am your instructor for this astrology course for beginners. Now, what you're going to learn in this course, now the 12 houses, you're going to understand the life areas each house represents. For the planets, you'll learn what each planet represents in astrology. For the zodiac signs, you'll interpret the influence of the 12 signs. For the axis lines, you'll understand the MC and IC and AC and DC axis. That's right. Not like the band AC/DC, but the natal chart AC/DC. Although they were probably influenced by the chart because the chart is that cool. And birth chart interpretation. How to combine it all. How to combine the 12 houses, your planets, your zodiac signs, and your axis lines. What you are going to need for this course. Number one, writing tools. A pen or a pencil is essential for taking notes, marking important details, or filling out the worksheets that you will find out about momentarily. Highlighter to emphasize key concepts in your notes or charts. I cannot stress the importance of taking great notes so that you can, one, either learn about your chart the best you can, or two, start your journey of becoming an astrologer, and you're using this course to become an astrologer. And those notes are going to help you in the future when you begin to read charts for others. Number two, you're going to need a notepad or journal, a dedicated space for writing down your thoughts, reflections, and chart notes. Consider using a notebook specifically for astrology to track your progress so that you can go to your nearest dollar convenience store, go get you a notebook for less than $1 and have that notebook just for the purpose of learning astrology. Okay. Next, number three, your birth chart. A printed or digital copy of your birth chart, either from an online chart generator or your personal chart. You can make sure to know your exact birth time for the most accurate chart details. Listen, you have to know your exact birth time. It can't be, oh, I think that I was born at 3 o'clock. Oh, I think my mama said once that her sister told her that she remember I was born at 4. No, no, no. You need your exact birth time. Okay. Number four, worksheets and PDFs. Now, there are downloadable worksheets and guides from this course that you will be able to download. Don't worry, I will cover those and you will be able to have those to refer to at all times. Print them or keep them on a digital device for easy reference. Okay. Number five, access to online tools. Astrology chart generators. You can use astro.com, you can use AstroSeek, you can use Cafe Astrology, whatever website you can use for a chart generator, as long as it is accurate and it gets the job done. All right, you're going to use these chart generators to look up your birth charts if needed. A calculator, if required for any calculations like house cusp or aspects. You'll find out about that later. What is a cusp? What is a house cusp? Oh my goodness, all these words. Number six, optional colored pens or markers if you are Virgo moon or Virgo rising. If you enjoy color coding or making your charts and notes visually organized, aesthetically pleasing, you can get you some color pens or markers. Number seven, I would implore you to find a quiet study space, a distraction-free area where you can focus on your learning without interruptions. That is important. All right. Now that we have gotten all of the important beginning steps out of the way, what you'll need, what you'll learn, all the good stuff. Now the fun begins. We're going to jump right into the houses. All right. So at this point, the learning is going to start. You're going to need your pen, you're going to need your pad, you're going to need your chart. Make sure before we jump into this next portion of the houses, you are fully ready to begin your learning. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. Go get yourself situated, go get everything you need. You can press pause and then press play again when you are ready to begin the learning on houses. Now we are going to cover the houses, the 12 stages of your life's journey, where each house reveals a unique area of experience and growth. Okay. The 12 houses, your life's blueprint. So diving right into it, your first house is yourself and your identity. Your first house is how you present yourself to the world. It is your persona and your physical appearance. And later we'll cover that your first house is actually governed by your ascendant. So your ascendant sign is how you introduce yourself to the world. It's how you show up in the world. So your ascendant sign, you can say, is very important in your life. It is your personality. It is your first impressions, your personal approach to life. That is your first house. So if you hear somebody say like, oh, what's your first house? What do you have in your third house? When you hear houses, they're speaking about your astrological houses. Okay, the 12 houses of the natal chart. Okay, so that's your first house. Your second house is your money and your possessions. Now, each house is ruled by a planet and is ruled by a sign, which we're going to cover later. So keep that in mind. So your second house, money and possessions. Now, this is going to cover your personal values, finances, and material resources. It's what you value most in terms of security and stability. Okay, I'll show you the houses just to have a visual of what they look like here shortly. Your third house is going to be communication and learning. It's your communication style. You know how people have like a love language, right? Personality type. You also have a communication type, a communication style. That is your third house. We're going to cover how to dive deeper into your communication style as we go further. All right, so it's your learning and it's your intellectual expression. It also covers your local environment, your immediate environment, your siblings, and your short trips. Okay, let me give you a glimpse of what these houses look like. So, this is a natal chart. Okay, this is a natal chart. You're looking at the chart of the day that I am reading this. Okay, December the 16th. And here you see these numbers. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12. These are the numbers of the houses, these evenly spaced diamonds here. I guess you can call them pyramids. So 12 pyramids, 12 houses. Okay. And you can see here in your first house, you have a sign, you have planets. Now, when I say first house, that's here. That's this area of your life. This house is your personality. This house is your money and your possessions. This house is your communication style. Now, earlier, when I said things that you'll need, astro.com is what you should be on right now. Okay. And what you can do when you go to astro.com is going to look like this. Astro.com looks like this. If you don't have it up, don't worry. You can pause the video, go type in, astro.com and then come back. And so it's going to give you a chart or it's going to give you a website like this. All right. You can look around if you want. But what I'm going to need you to do is right here where it says My Astro. It's going to say like, not logged in. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a user profile, right? It's going to ask you for your name, your birthday, all that stuff. You enter, create a profile like you would for any website. And then what you're going to do is go to charts and calculations. And you're going to select chart drawing, right? For beginners, you're going to select chart drawing. And then it's going to ask you for that information I said you're going to need at the beginning of this course. So it's going to ask you for your birth chart information. So the location of your birth, your name, the time of your birth, the day of your birth. Okay, location, time, day. You're going to need those. Those are very important. And once you have that information, you input that information into, you go up to chart drawings, right? And then it's going to show you a chart. And that chart is going to look something like this. It's going to have your name, right? Actually, let me pull up a chart just to show you. I can't click on it because then it's going to show you the names of my clients and that wouldn't be good for anybody. So 1 second here. All right. So once you, select the button where it says the chart, remember just the chart drawing, not the extended chart. The extended chart is for when you come back for the, the intermediate workshop. Okay. So you go to chart. And then it's going to pull up your chart. It's going to have your name, all of your information here. And that is where you should be at right now. Up until this point, we are just covering the houses. So with that being said, let's dive back into your fourth house. Oh, right. So let's go to the next set of houses. The second quadrant now. We are at the fourth house. The fourth house is your home and your family. It covers your home life, your roots, your ancestry, and your private self. Okay, so it's what you like to do when you're by yourself. When The door closes. When I mean the door, I mean the door to the outside world. Once you get into your house, you step 2 feet into the door, you close the door to the outside world, you become, I mean, you might do things differently than you would in public, you know? So that is your fourth house. It is your private self, who you are when you are in the comfort of your home. It's your sense of emotional security, nurturing, and foundation. It's the trunk of the tree. Okay. The fourth house in ancient astrology covers the father, and modern astrology covers the mother. All right. So we'll get more into that later once we go over to signs. Your fifth house. Your fifth house covers creativity and romance. It is your self expression, it is creativity, children, and hobbies. It talks about romance, love affairs, and playful energy. The fifth house is a house of youth, your inner child, your self expression, right? It's how you, when you pick up the paintbrush, it is how you show your creativity through that channel, source of the sign that is there. If it's a water sign, you know, you might be pulling from an emotional space. If it's a fire sign, you might be pulling from a source of like impulsive or source of, you know, like angst or source of fiery energy. If it's from a air sign, it's going to be full on mental, like this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want to show the world of my intellectual side of myself. This is what I want to show the world as far as my relationships with other people. That's all air. Okay, that's the fifth house. Whatever sign is there is going to be the way that you create and show the world how you like to create. The planets that are there, the degrees that are there, those are all important. But for the sake and purposes of this beginner's course, we're only covering houses, signs, and planets. Okay. Sixth house, health and service. It is health, daily routines. One second, let me drink some water. And work habits, health, daily routines, and work habits. The sixth house is all about your service to others and maintaining balance in life. Move right along. The seventh house. The seventh house is about your partnerships and relationships. And not just, you see, let me backtrack for a second because the fifth house can also be about relationships, but it's more so the beginning stages of you getting to know somebody else. The fifth house is how you like to flirt, how you like to date, how you show interest in other people. That's the fifth house. All right. Creativity and romance. So romance is there for a purpose. Your romance, your love affairs. So it's how you like to initiate that hi, I have interest in you. That sort of initiation. All right. And the seventh house is usually if you start dating somebody in the fifth house and they make it over to the seventh house, that can be a marriage. So the seventh house is intimate, personal, serious relationships, marriage, long-term partnerships, and one-on-one relationships, not just romantic, but these relationships that teach you more about interpersonal skills. So your best friends, your mentors, like the people that come into your life and really help to change you and build your interpersonal skills. See each angle of the chart, and we'll talk about angles later, which the first house and the seventh house are connected to angles. Angles come with teachers. Remember that, write that down. Angles are angels because those angels come in the form of teachers. Angles are angels. We'll talk about angles later. Okay. How you interact with others on a personal level. Okay. So not just the surface level, the third house, conversations, the small talk, not the fifth house, playful, like, I'm not truly comfortable with you, but I'm getting to know you type. The seventh house is like, I know you, you know me, you've been in my house, you know my mom. That's the seventh house. Moving right along to the eighth house. The eighth house is about transformation and shared resources. What's mine is yours. That's the motto for the eighth house. It's about transformation, death, and rebirth. It can be physical death, it can be spiritual death, it can be mental death, because the eighth house also rules over psychology. You'll learn more later why. But transformation, it's the energy of the phoenix. That is the eighth house, the energy of the phoenix. Keep that in mind. It is, I've been the things that you have been through in your life. You have probably came into some type of fear, some type of reluctance. You had to go through it. And on the other side, you realize why you went through it, right? You had your dark night moment. You look back in retrospect, in hindsight, because it's 2020, you had that clear vision to go, oh, okay, I see why that had to happen. That was eighth house energy. So that's type of transformation. But it can also be physical death because the eighth house also shows you the conditions of how you will physically leave this realm of existence. So it's spiritual and it's physical and it's mental, meaning you let go of a limited belief and you had to become somebody new to embody a new mindset. That is the eighth house. The reason why I'm spending a little bit more time in the eighth house is because the eighth house is the most serious house of the chart. If it's the most you can feel the energy, right? It is a house that you simply cannot skip over. And when you find out the sign that is associated with this house later, you'll go, oh, okay, I see why. I got you. Copy. Moving right along to the ninth house. The ninth house is philosophy. Or let me go back for a second. I'm sorry. Eighth house, shared resources, other people's money, OPM, and deep psychological processes. Right. So it's all about psychology. Once again, other people's money. So the second house, we can remember the second house is about your money, your personal finances, your material resources, your security and stability. The eighth house is about other people's finances, meaning how you can garner other people's finances. Right? Other people's monies, like the way that you can go about initiating businesses. It also covers taxes, debt, shared resources, meaning child support, meaning divorce, alimony. Okay. Now, if it's a lawsuit, it could show up in the eighth house, most definitely, depending on the conditions there, but it's most likely going to show up in the seventh house. Right? Write this down. Rewind this and listen back to this as many times as you need to. And deep psychological processes, that is what I mean when I say mental death, mental rebirth, because the eighth house is about, it's the cynical house. It's the house of, see, I came right back to the eighth house. You see how I just pulled you right back to it? It's a vortex. It's about, looking deeper at something, not just surface level. Like I get you. I heard what you told me about this subject, but I need to verify. I need to go a little bit deeper and unpack that subject, investigate that subject. That is the eighth house. Okay. Ninth house, philosophy and higher education. Okay. The third house is about communication and learning. It's about education, but grade school education, like, preschool, first grade, second grade, third grade, middle school. Ninth house is about higher education. When you take it upon yourself to go to college, grad school, it can be monastery, meaning like you were learning to become a preacher. Astrology belongs in the ninth house. The ninth house in higher education means anything that expands your mind in an area to where you are spending the 10,000 hours to become a master in that area. That is the ninth house, the house of mastery. All right. Expansion of mind, travel, higher education, and belief systems. So this is why it is connected to religion, your belief system. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you are a Jew, it will show up in the ninth house. Okay. Spirituality, religion, exploring the world beyond. That is all the ninth house. The third house is about local travel, your immediate surroundings. Ninth house is about the surroundings that you have not even stepped foot on yet. Stepping onto a plane and crossing over water. That is the ninth house. Long distance travel. Third house, short distance travel. Third house is road trips. Ninth house is getaways. Shamanism is in the ninth house. Okay. The ninth house is also known as the house of God, the house of divinity. Okay. Now we are at the ninth house, so I'm going to give you a second to digest some of this information. Take a 3-minute break, take a 6-minute break, take a 9-minute break, whatever feels comfortable for you. Think about some of this information that you have learned. Come back after your break, and we're going to get started on the 10th house. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. We are now going to start on the 10th house of the natal chart, and 2 more houses to go after that before we move on to the next section. Okay. 10th house, career and public life. Your career, public reputation, and life's purpose. Now, you remember how I said there are angles connected to certain houses. You learn more about this in the intermediate section of the course if you come back for that. But these are called angular houses. Okay. The 10th house is one of those houses. It's connected to a certain angle known as your midheaven, and it comes with teachers. The first house is connected to your ascendant, comes with certain teachers. We'll talk about those later. Fourth house, the 7th house, and now the 10th house is also connected with teachers, those angels I was talking about. Okay, the angles are angels, so keep that in mind for later. So it is your career, your public reputation, and your life's purpose. Now, something else I want to add here is if the 4th house is connected to, in modern times, your mother, the 10th house is connected to your father, how you were fathered in your life. Okay. So the fourth house is one parent. Diagonal right across the street is the 10th house. That's another parent. Okay. And I'll give you an easier way to think about this later on. So it's easier to remember. Okay. So it's your ambitions, achievements, and the authority figures in your life. Okay. Now, the authority figures, that's those teachers I was telling you about. This is all going to make sense later. If this is your first time into astrology and if all this sounds foreign, don't worry. That's completely fine. That comes with any new subject. Okay. 11th house, friendships and social networks. The 11th house is the house of your friendships, your group affiliations, and your social causes. This can be organizations that you are passionate about. This could be, parent, teacher, groups, organizations. This can be, social change groups like, help feed the homeless. The 11th house is the house of the humanitarian, the I want to help, the if you have a cause, I have time. That's the 11th house. But it's more so, it has to be connected with something, groups, people. Okay. Hopes, dreams, collective goals for the future. Emphasis on collective goals. Once you get past the 7th house to the 12th house, it's all about other people. So hopes, dreams, benefactors, networking. Right? The 11th house is a strange one. It's the eclectic house. It's the individualized house. It's the I'm going to wear orange with leopard, print just because I want to house. You can figure out the sign before we get there. You're one step further already. Last but not least, on this portion of the houses, we have the 12th house. It is the house of the subconscious mind and spirituality. It's the subconscious mind, hidden fears in your spiritual life, secrets, endings, healing from within. Now, secrets meaning that this is the house of, the things that you like to do by yourself and nobody really knows about. The house of vices, the house of, man, I never knew they had that going on in their life. The house of the ending of cycles. The house of, nobody really knew I was struggling, but I had to fight on my own from the bottom to really make it, those hidden battles that I had to win. That's the 12th house. It's also the house of dreams. It's a house of mental institutions, asylums, right? Intuition. Subconscious mind and dreams are linked because the dream realm is the realm of the subconscious mind. That is the 12th house. So if you know somebody with heavy 12th house energy, believe it that they are spiritual, even if they just have one planet there, or if they have the ruler of their 12th. Well, now I'm being too ahead of myself. Okay, so there you have it, man. We went over the first house of self and identity, the second house of money and possessions, the third house of communication and learning, the fourth house of home and family, the fifth house of creativity and romance, the sixth house of health and service, the seventh house of partnerships and relationships, the eighth house of transformation and shared resources, the ninth house of philosophy and higher education, the 10th house of career and public life, the 11th house of friendships and social networks, and the 12th house of subconscious and spirituality. All right. And let's take another look at those houses. So once again, I just want to show you, this is the chart of Donald Trump, okay? And you can see in his first house here, second house, third house, fourth house, he has certain signs, he has certain planets. And so how I want you to think about houses, right, is at the moment of your birth, the moment of your birth, which is why birth time is so important. You can see here, he was born at 10:54 a.m. And so at the moment of his birth, the sky is the pie. The sky is the pie chart. This is the chart at the moment he was born. These are the placements of the planets in the firmament at the moment Donald Trump was born. And these planets and the degree that they are at, and the sign that they're at, and the deacon that they're at, and don't worry what the things I just said you'll learn about in the advanced course or the intermediate course, right? But just for now, these houses are the houses of his personalities. These make up, you know, how he moves, how he thinks, his material possessions, how he communicates, his relationships, his debt, his beliefs, his public image, his social groups, his hidden life, you know, hidden secrets, his subconscious mind, which is really just another way, you know, one thing I want to point out here is the third house is, of course, the way you communicate, right? It can be the way that you move and the way that you think. But the 12th house is a higher, what it's like a higher form of thinking because it's your subconscious mind. Now I'm trying to get into some intermediate stuff, but I'm gonna digress there because I can start to anyway. So yeah, these houses, they make up his personality. They make up his, believe it or not, his shoe size, how big his hands are, how big his hips are, how big his head is. Like all of this you can see in somebody's chart. Okay, so the houses are the areas of life that this entire chart makes up. So breaking down the natal chart, just know that when we talk about the houses, we are talking about the areas of life. The areas of life. Okay? That is going to conclude this first portion of the houses. I know you just took a refresher, but take another little refresher, take another little break, come back, and we are going to start on the next portion, which is planets. But before we do go to planets, I do have an exercise for you, and I have a tip for you. So come on back, and we're going to go over that tip. We're going to go over that exercise before we dive right into planets. Okay, now we are going to move on to just a little illustration I have here for you. Just as a reminder, these are the houses. You have your first house, second house, third house, all the way to your 12th house. Okay, so you can just use this as a little cheat sheet for you. You can also use the downloadable PDF that I have for you. Okay, and here you can just see like a chart that's filled out. These illustrations are going to represent the signs. Okay, and usually in these houses, you'll have planets, which we're going to cover next. Okay. Now, a helpful tip for the houses of your natal chart? Now, this is a question that I receive pretty often, pretty often. This is, people are always curious about this. If a house is empty, look at the ruling planet of the sign that governs that house. The condition of the ruling planet will provide additional insights into the themes and influences of that house. What does that mean? Great question. Let me show you on Donald Trump's chart. Now, here you can see that his second house is empty, his fourth house is empty, his ninth house is empty. So, for his second house, what you want to do is you want to look at the ruling planet. Now, this is going to make much sense later, but here his second house is ruled by Virgo, which means that the ruling planet of the second house is Mercury, which means that the ruling planet is in his 12th house. So the Lord of the second is in his 12th. And so Mercury and Mercury is here at the 8th degree and the moon deacon in the sign of Cancer. And then the aspects connected to Mercury. What are aspects? Don't worry. You won't have to worry about aspects here. That's more the intermediate course. But the condition of Mercury is going to tell you a lot about his second house. For his fourth house, you can see here it's Scorpio. So if you go over to modern astrology, Pluto, we use traditional astrology, is Mars. But the ruler of the fourth is in his first. So it's going to tell you a lot about his security, right? His home, his upbringing. If you were to look to his ruling planet of the fourth, which is right here. So you want to know more about his home life, his sense of what he does in private, you're going to look to Pluto. And one more, just to give you another example, his ninth house, you can see here that is ruled by Aries. So if you want to know more about his higher education, more about his philosophy, more about what he likes to do in his foreign travel expenditures, you go over to Mars, which is over in his first house at the 26th degree. Okay. So if you have a empty house, you just look at the ruling planet, and that's going to give you a better picture that house has to paint. Now, an exercise for this portion would be using a free charting tool to generate your natal chart. I want you to explore the signs and planets in each house. Focus on the area of life that stands out to you the most. This box here. Begin by investigating the specific part of your chart first to gain deeper insight. So simple. You just want to see which house that you connect with the most. And just let the curiosity lead the way. Start to investigate that area. Start to, this, of course, would be better once you figure out more about the planets and the signs. But this exercise is going to be helpful. It's an exercise you can come back to for each and every house. You have 12 houses. So you can use this exercise at least 12 times. If you're reading your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your friend, you can use this exercise infinite amount of times. Or finite if you're an introvert. Hey. Okay, so moving right along. You have your helpful tip and you have your exercise. Now we are arriving at the planets portion. The planets portion. I like the way that alliteration. Anyway, the celestial forces that drive your actions, your emotions, and life experiences, each with its own distinct energy. Ooh. Ooh, the planets. Sounds good, right? The planets, your inner forces. Starting right off with the sun, it's not a planet per se, but it is something that indicates part of your personality, just like the moon. Okay. The sun is your core self, your vitality. It represents your identity, your ego, your vitality. Now, when I say identity, I mean your physical identity, right? That your identification in your wallet, that's your sun, who you are, your avatar, who you go out, your character, how you interact with the world, just dressing is a form of creativity. Just introducing yourself, developing a way that you walk, developing a way that you talk, like how you work your avatar. That is your sun. That is your core self. It is your vitality. It is your identity. That is the sun. Now that's different from the I am energy that drives the sun. The sun is the car. All right, that part of the identity. There's an identity that drives the car, which we'll get into in a second. Right, so it represents your identity, your ego, your vitality, the essence of who you are and your life purpose, your energy, strong, confident, expressive. That is the energy of the sun, strong, confident, and expressive. Shines bright, the brightest one in the room. Mufasa. Okay, moving right along to the moon. Emotions and instincts. When you think of the moon, you think of emotions. It governs your emotional world, your instincts, your subconscious. It represents how you nurture and seek comfort. The energy of the moon is sensitive, is nurturing, is intuitive. Okay. Mercury, communication and thinking. It controls communication, intellect, and reasoning. Now, that's your conscious mind. Mercury represents your conscious mind. It governs how you process, please write that down. It governs how you process information, learn, and express ideas. The energy of Mercury is quick witted, analytical, communicative. All right. Now, each planet governs a sign. The sun governs a sign. The moon governs a sign. Mercury governs a sign. Which sign? We'll find out in the next portion. Which sign? We're going to take our time. So we cover the sun, the moon, and Mercury, moving right along. Venus. Venus is love and beauty. When you think of Venus, most of you probably think of Aphrodite. Represents love, beauty, harmony, and relationships. Venus governs your aesthetic preferences, romantic life, and values. The energy of Venus is loving, harmonious, sensual. Venus likes to love. Venus likes to look good. Okay. Mars. Mars is all about the action and desire, fire and desire. It governs your action, your drive, your ambition, and your sexual energy. It represents your assertiveness, energy, and how you pursue goals. Now, Mars represents the first house, which is about your I am energy. It's that part of your identity. It's that part of yourself that tries to understand why you are making the move. Even if you feel as though you don't have control over the move, you want to understand, understand, and overstand why you made the move in the first place. That's Mars. Okay. The energy of Mars is bold, assertive, and passionate. It's the fire. All right. Jupiter. Jupiter is about expansion and growth. Jupiter represents growth, optimism, abundance, and higher knowledge. Oh, can you figure out which house Jupiter rules? Keep that in mind. We'll get to it. Which house does Jupiter rule? Higher knowledge? We went over that house. Jupiter governs your philosophy, beliefs, and sense of adventure. You know, I want to take the long way home today because I feel like adventuring, that's Jupiter. Jupiter likes to bless. Jupiter likes to expand areas of your life with blessings, especially if it's direct and not retrograde. The energy of Jupiter is expansive, optimistic, philosophical. Big Papa Jupiter. Okay. Now let me take this moment to show you something about these planets and how they interact. As you can see here, we have the chart for Wake Up, Mr. West, Mr. Kanye West. We have the chart for Mr. West. Okay. All right. So you can see here, same thing. The planets make up his personality. So we have the sun here, we have Jupiter here in his 12th house. We have Mars. Oh, I don't. Yeah, we went over Mars. So we have Mars here in this 11th house. We have Venus here in this 11th house. We have Mercury here in this 11th house. So remember, the planets are your inner life forces. So those inner life forces are applied to the areas of your life. So the houses make up the areas of your life, and the planets are the inner life forces of your personality that show themselves in those areas of your life. So if you know that the ninth house rules over religion, higher learning, traveling, and if Mr. West has the moon here, which we're going to go over here in a second. No, we went over the moon. If he has the moon and the energy of the moon in his ninth house, then that energy is going to show up in that area of his life, how he feels about religion, how he feels about higher learning, how he feels about traveling, his philosophical views. That is the moon at the 16th degree in Pisces. We'll figure out what Pisces means later. The degrees, you'll come back for another course. So just know that each planet has a personality, and those personalities of the planet will manifest themselves in that area of your life, especially if they are aspected. These lines here that you see in the natal chart, these are connecting aspects, which we'll go over in another course. Now let's go over and zoom right back to the planets. I don't want to get you confused. So let's go and zoom right back to learning about the planets. Next, we have Saturn, Mr. Kronos. Saturn is all about structure and discipline. Saturn governs structure, responsibility, boundaries, and discipline. If you have an area of your life where you know You need to be more responsible. You need to be more disciplined, and you need to implement healthy boundaries. I guarantee you, Saturn will show you how to go about doing this. And how you know that Saturn is teaching you is because you'll have an area, a lesson that will repeat itself over and over and over again. Let's say it's a lesson that's teaching you how to, you know, implement boundaries, right? But the thing is, wherever Saturn is, whatever area of life Saturn is in, that is the area that Saturn is teaching you. So let's say Saturn shows up in your second house of finances. Well, you might go broke over and over again just so you learn how to handle money right, just so you learn how to be structured with money, how to be responsible with money, how to have discipline and set boundaries with money. If Saturn shows up in your seventh house, then you'll learn how to be structured and responsible and implement healthy boundaries in your relationships, in your marriage. Is it starting to make sense? The areas of your life, those houses are important, because wherever these planets show up, that's where they're going to exert their force. That's where they're going to show their governance and the energy that they come with. And the energy of Saturn is serious. It's discipline. It's hardworking. So Saturn is not teaching you just to be cruel. It's teaching you because you've shown in previous incarnations that that is an area that needs improvement. So if Saturn is showing up in that area of your life, just know that it is an area that shows weakness, that in past incarnations you have shown to, you know what, I have not paid enough attention to this area. So Saturn is only teaching you structure, the best way that you are going to retain that information. Okay. Saturn represents your ambitions, your long-term goals, and your fears. And you'll often be put in situations that you can handle to overcome a fear, to set long-term goals, to be more ambitious. That is Saturn, the ruler of structure and discipline. Moving right along to Uranus. Uranus is Mr. Innovation and Change. Governs innovation, technology, and sudden and unexpected change. Now, hot and cold is Uranus. Like saying I'm going to chill with you tomorrow and then, you know what, scratch that. That's Uranus. It's the unpredictable factor. That is Uranus. It's that individual. It's that um it, it it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. That's Uranus. Uranus is not only sudden change. Uranus is the method behind the madness. Uranus is the when I say innovation, I mean like flying cars. I mean like computers, telephones, cell phones. You know, like it's the innovation that drives society to the next step. That's Uranus. When I say change, I mean like, oh shit, now we got flying cars, you know? That's Uranus. Uranus represents your desire for freedom and individuality. The energy of Uranus is unpredictable, rebellious, inventive. And again, wherever area Uranus shows up in your life, whatever house, you're going to have this certain intuition about that area where you can see things that other people can't see, where you have a certain type of vision. If it shows up in your third house, you might be a certain type of screenwriter, or you might be you're the way that you communicate might be so unique, so one of a kind that it is impossible to duplicate. And the way that you might interpret writing, the way that you might pick up a book and decipher the reading, decipher the pages might be different, or you might be able to create some type of tool which people can have an idea, then the idea automatically transfers to a file or something, right? But it would have to do with the third house energy, or it can be cars, because the third house is about cars. But wherever you run, it shows up, you're going to have a talent in that area for improving that area, especially when it comes to technology. You're going to want to show that you are individualized in that area of your life. Okay. It can be spicy, especially if it shows up in your fifth house or your eighth house. Whoa, now be careful. The energy can be spicy and unpredictable. Moving right along to Neptune. Neptune rules dreams and spirituality. It governs your imagination, your dreams, your spirituality, and your illusions, delusions, confusion. That's Neptune. Delusional, confused. Like, let's say if you have Neptune showing up in somebody's third house, you're going to love what they're saying, right? But afterwards, you might be needing to take about 3 minutes to digest, because what they said, it unlocked something in your subconscious mind, because the way that Neptune likes to communicate is it goes right above your defenses of your conscious minds and slips right to your subconscious mind. That is Neptune. Neptune, and I'll use this term now, but you'll understand it if you come back for more courses, but it's higher octave. All right, higher octave. Neptune is a higher octave of Mercury. When Mercury communicates to your conscious mind. Neptune communicates to your subconscious mind. That's why it rules over dreams and spirituality, because spirituality, it hooks you. It changes who you are. It's subconscious programming. Okay. It represents your connection to the subconscious and spiritual realms. So other realms of divinity, whether it be the astral realm, whether it be you speak to loved ones, you're a medium. That is Neptune. It's the mystical, the intuitive, the dreamy. Neptune also represents music, Hollywood, right? Acting. Neptune is the body of the ocean, right? I don't want to go over what everything rules right now. I want to just slip that one in there. Okay. So we have Saturn, we have Uranus, we have Neptune, we have Venus, we have Mars, we have Jupiter, we have the sun, we have the moon, and we have Mercury. We also have this guy over here. We call him Pluto. Pluto rules over the transformation and power. Now, which house does Pluto rule over? I spent a little time speaking about transformation. You might be able to put two and two together. Pluto is about power and transformation. It governs regeneration. It governs power dynamics and transformation. Okay. Pluto is about power, Pluto power. It represents deep psychological shifts, not only in yourself, but in society. You see, Pluto is what's known as a generational planet because it takes longer to transit. We're going to go over transits. Again, I sound like a broken record here, but transits is not for the beginner course. This course is only for planets, signs, and houses. So Pluto, just know that Pluto takes a long time. It's known as a generational planet because it takes generations to shift, to make a full shift back to to take over all 12 signs, to visit all 12 houses. Okay. But when it does shift, it shifts the psychology of a society, of a generation, the way that people think, so much so that whatever sign Pluto shifts into, the masses are going to have that guideline as things that we should be moving forward to speak about, to bring into fruition into our society. That is the type of shift that Pluto brings. It's a deep psychological shift within you and the people around you. It's about death. It's about rebirth. Now you're probably getting the house at this point. I think that you're smart enough to know which house. Okay. So Pluto is about physical death. It's about mental death. It's about spiritual death. And it's about rebirth. Not only death, but coming back again. That phoenix energy. Pluto power. The Phoenix Pluto power. Oh, say that 3 times fast. Phoenix Pluto power. Phoenix Pluto. Okay. Now, each sign has, or each planet has something known as a glyph, something that represents the planet. And as you can see here, the sun here is just like a little target sign. I don't know why it's not showing up here, but just like, you know, the target sign, the store target, that's the sun. You have the moon here, it's the crescent. You have Mercury here. Don't worry, I'll show you the glyphs for Venus and Mars as well. We'll go over that. I was putting this together during the Mercury retrograde, so Mercury here looks like a little trickster. Speaking of, Mercury is known as the trickster. It's the glyph for Jupiter, the glyph for Saturn, the glyph for Uranus, the glyph for Neptune, the glyph for Pluto. Let's go take a look at the glyphs for the Sun, Venus, and Mars as well. So as you can see here, here's the Sun, our little target sign. Venus, you might notice this sign like on some bathrooms for women. Okay. Might notice this on some signs for men. This is Mars. Venus, Mars. Oh, wow. Right next to each other. Interesting. Interesting, Mr. West. Okay. So you got Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, the Sun, Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, and the moon. And so when you're looking at a chart and you're looking at these areas of life, these glyphs are going to let you know, hey, I'm Neptune. Hey, I'm the moon. Hey, I'm Mars. Read me. So this, when you're looking at a chart, this is how you know what the energy of the house is. And on some charts, you can see that most houses will have more than one planetary body in the house, which is going to be both of the planets contributing their energy to that individual. And depending on the degree, depending on the placement of the planet, is going to let you know how much of the planet is contributing to that person's personality in that area of their life. And now personality is expansive. When I say personality, I don't only mean the first house. I mean, your personality includes how you are with money, how you communicate, your security, your playfulness, your managerial skills, your service to other people, your relationships, how you go about dealing with other people's resources, your beliefs, your public image, your friendship groups, and your private, vices, your subconscious connection. Like that is a full spectrum of a personality, which all of these houses are going to make up and which all of these planets are going to contribute their energy to. Okay, so let's finish up the portion of planets here. Okay, back for another helpful tip. I hope you guys like these. I thought they'd be fun. Or not you guys, but you women, you men, they, them, whatever you go by. I want to appreciate everybody's identity. So, helpful tip for the planets. The planet that rules your ascendant sign holds the greatest influence in your chart. By examining the condition of your chart ruler, you can gain insight into where your natural strengths and power reside. So you want to look at your chart ruler. So if your ascendant sign is Taurus, your chart ruler is going to be Venus because Venus rules Taurus. If your ascendant sign is Scorpio, your chart ruler is going to be either Mars or Pluto because they co-rule Scorpio. Okay, so your chart ruler is going to hold great power in your chart. So become very, very comfortable. Become familiar, get to know your chart ruler so you can know where your power resides. An exercise for the planets. Again, you want to use a free charting tool to generate your natal chart and explore the signs and planets in each house. What planet rules your chart? Explore your chart ruler to gain further understanding of your personality. So you see, easy, simple, some might even say fun exercise. And that is going to conclude this portion of the beginner's course of planets. Go and take your 3, 6, or 9 minute break. Come back, and we're going to go over the last portion, or the next to last portion, which is going to be signs. Woo! Yeah, fun. All right. See you all shortly. Okay, we are back for the signs. The signs from above. Some might say that your future is written in the stars. What do they mean when they say that? The signs are constellations. Okay. The signs are the cosmic archetypes that shape your personalities and life path through unique energies and traits. Cosmic archetypes. Okay. The zodiac signs are the colors of your soul. The houses are the areas of your life. The planets are your inner life forces. The signs are the colors of your soul. Okay, how you go about expressing that energy in that area of your life. Okay, these are broken up in certain sections, certain sectors. First, we have the fire signs. The fire signs are energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate. You have Aries, you have Leo, and you have Sagittarius. Now, for Aries, Aries is a cardinal fire. What does that mean? What does cardinal fire mean? Don't worry, we'll get into that. Leo is fixed fire. Sagittarius is mutable fire. Now, Aries is going to cover core traits of leadership, courage, and impulsiveness. The element of Leo is fire, it's dynamic, it's action oriented because it's a cardinal fire. The modality is cardinal, it's initiates and it's pioneering. It's all about taking action, initiating action. Leo is a fixed fire. The core traits of Leo will be creativity, confidence, and generosity. Leo is also a fire, but Leo is more enthusiastic and expressive. fixed modality. So it's determined and loyal. You know, one might argue that Leo is the most loyal sign of the entire zodiac, loyal to a fault at times. Sagittarius is mutable fire. Core traits are adventurous, optimistic, philosophical. The way that Sagittarius expresses its fire is spontaneous and expansive. Spontaneous and expansive. Mutable modality, adaptive and open minded. Okay. So let's break this down for a second. What do I mean when I say cardinal, fixed, and mutable? For now, for the beginner's course, I just want you to think of cardinal, fixed, and mutable as like a like a football team, right? Okay, so you have a football team, and the starters on the football team, the initiators are going to be the Cardinals, the teammates that help to keep the game stabilized and to keep things maintenance and functioning. That's going to be your fixed teammates. The closers of the game, the people to make sure that they get things done, that's going to be your mutable people. So you have the starters, the maintainers, the finishers, the beginning, the middle, the end, the cardinal, the fixed, the mutable. Okay. Okay, so moving right along, we have our earth signs: practical, grounded, sensible. First, you have Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth, a starter, initiator. The core traits of Taurus are going to be stability, reliability, sensuality, right? Taurus is ruled by Venus. To take it back, Aries rules over or is ruled by Mars, co-ruler Pluto. For Leo, Leo's ruled by the sun. Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, co-ruler Neptune. Okay, for earth signs, Earth, Taurus, is ruled by Venus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. That's where you get the sensuality. If you know anything about Taurus, they are all about stability. They need their finances. They need to see it. They need to touch it. They need to feel it in order to know that it's secure. That's the earth. That's the grounding. Okay, the element is earth, steady, material, focused. Modality is fixed, persistent, and loyal. That's the way that Taurus expresses its earth element. For Virgo, the way that Virgo expresses the earth element of mutable earth is going to be analytical, detail oriented, and helpful. Practical and organized. Mutable, adaptive, service oriented. That's the sixth house. Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Capricorn is cardinal earth, the initiator. Core traits of Capricorn are going to be ambitious, disciplined. I say ambitious, ambitious, disciplined, reasonable. The way that Capricorn expresses the earth element is going to be grounded and success oriented. If you know a Capricorn, they are business first. They are always clocked in. They're always working. They're about making it work anyway, anyhow. They're going to be somewhere making things happen, whether it be working for themselves or working for other people. They're about that public image. They cannot let their public image go awry, whether they are, especially if they are ascendant Capricorn, because that's how they show up in the world. Capricorn moons as well. They need that security. Cardinal, goal oriented leadership. Okay. Success oriented, grounded. Moving right along, we have the air signs: intellectual, communicative, social. These are the networkers. Gemini is a mutable air. So the way that Gemini expresses the element of air is intellectual and communicative. The modality is mutable, so it's flexible, versatile. The reason why Gemini gets sometimes they get like, oh, they're flighty or they have, multiple personalities. No, they're just mutable. They're intellectual as well. Gemini is a slept on intellectual. They're more practical and they're more like smart with the way they move. Okay. Great communicators. Next up is Libra. Libra is a cardinal air, the initiator. Libra is all about harmony, diplomacy, very charming. What? They just asked me for $5 and I ended up giving them 500. What happened? You are a victim to a Libra. The way that Libra expresses the air element is social and idealistic. The modality is cardinal, so it initiates connections. It's balanced. Right? And the reason why you have to see that it initiates connections is because it's a cardinal. The initiator connections is the seventh house, is Libra. Libra is all about relationships. So the way that it expresses the modality in that area of life, it initiates connections. Balance, that's Libra, the scales. Okay. Aquarius. Aquarius is fixed air, stubborn. The core traits of Aquarius is independent, innovative, humanitarian. The way that Aquarius expresses the element of air is intellectual and inventive. And the modality adds the determined factor, the visionary factor to Aquarius because it's fixed. So they are determined. Notice the core, the common denominator amongst these modalities. You see, Aquarius is fixed air, right? Capricorn or Taurus is fixed earth. So the modality is persistent and loyal. Aquarius, determined, visionary. Then you have Leo, determined, loyal. So you see, fixed, they're determined, they are persistent, they stick with it. Whereas cardinal for Aries initiates action, pioneering. For Capricorn, goal oriented, leadership. For Libra, initiates connections, balance, the initiator, you see? And for mutable, adaptive, open minded. Oh, okay. Well, I can go with the flow, no problem. For Virgo, adaptive, service oriented. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Do you need something from the store? For Gemini, flexible, versatile. Nope. We can't do it at 12. You have to do it at 6 o'clock, even though I have plans for the night. No problem. We can do that. Yeah, I'll put you before me. That's all. See, air signs are about relationships, about building with other people. Earth signs are about groundedness. They're about, if it makes sense, I need to touch it. I need to feel it. I'm not really with the philosophical stuff. I need to be here on earth. And for fire signs, it's about, okay, gotcha, but we need to make something happen. Like fire signs are all about the tough love, all about the don't worry, you'll get over it. They're all about the competitiveness, being competitive. They're all about being at the head of a company, going to the top. They love that, you know, um, that thrill of being in sport with somebody else, being competitive with somebody else, being passionate about what they are connected to. The fire and desire, that's the fire signs. For earth signs, they're all about, like, I'm logical. So let me think this over for a second. Nah, this I thought it over. This doesn't make sense to me. That's you really need to have a chart for earth signs and graph it out for them to make sense to them. For air signs, they're going to ask you about 21 questions before making any type of move. They want to build with you, they want to network with you, they want to see if you know the same people. They're about relationships. They want to see if they trust you first. Last but not least, you have the water signs. And water signs are emotional, intuitive, nurturing. All right, you have Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal water, so you know where I'm going with this. Initiates emotional connections, caring. The way that cardinal expresses the element of water is sensitive and intuitive. And the core traits are nurturing, emotional, protective, because they are about that security. Let me back it up. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, Libra ruled by Venus, Aquarius, modern times ruled by Uranus, traditional astrology ruled by Saturn. So Gemini, Mercury, Libra, Venus, Aquarius, co-rulers, Saturn or Uranus. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So that's where the emotional comes in. That's where the protective nature comes in, right? Cancer is all about security, protecting their home. So if you ever go to somebody who has their rising in Cancer or their moon in Cancer, or just have a lot of Cancer energy, they're really going to be connected to that home space. They're not just going to let anybody into their home. And when they become your friend, when they consider you somebody they can trust, then they're going to be protective over you. They're going to be nurturing over you, seeing what you need in your life, right? They are connected to their emotions first. If you could connect to the emotions of a Cancer, then you are speaking their language. Because why? The modality initiates emotional connections. Caring, like a nurse, that type of caring. Moving on, we have Scorpio. Scorpio is fixed water. Core traits of Scorpio is going to be intense, loyal, transformative. Scorpio rules, drum roll. Dun, 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 dun. You can imagine me doing a drum roll. I actually do a pretty good air drum, but that's not the point. Scorpio rules the eighth house, right? That house of transformation, the house of rebirth, that intense house, right? Scorpios were ruled by Pluto, right? Pluto bringing in the transformation, the Pluto power, the deep psychological shifts. That's Scorpio. right? If you ever meet somebody that's a Scorpio rising, I'm guilty as charged, or Sun is Scorpio, or just a lot of Scorpio energy, then they're going to come with an intense nature about themselves. That's why they're ruled by Pluto. They want to get to the deep depths of who you are, right? They really need to feel psychologically connected to you. A fixed water is like that ice, right? Fixed water is ice. So until they can feel connected to you, you're probably going to see their stinger because they're deep, they're passionate. That's how they express that element of water. And the modality, the fixed, adds the determined nature, adds the private nature to them. Remember the fixed, determined, right? You can also throw in resilient, private. So until they feel like they know you, they're going to be private. And matter of fact, the Scorpio will ask you more questions about yourself than they'll answer about themselves. But they will be loyal to you once they're in your lives and once you're in their lives, and they will transform you in more ways than one because the Scorpio themselves have been through transformations in the same way that Cancer knows emotional deaths. Cancer knows emotional intelligence because they are emotional and protective. And just like other signs and planets and houses are connected to these angles, well, let me go back for a second here. Aries is connected to that first angle, that ascendant, the first house. Okay, so Aries is connected to the ascendant, that first angel. That second angel, that second angle is Capricorn, connected to the 10th house, your public image. That's the midheaven. The other angle, Libra, that's your interpersonal connections. That's the 7th house. That's the descendant. So the teachers that show up in your first house, the sign that is in your first house are going to explain those teachers that show up to teach you more about yourself. Those angels that teach you more about your ascendant, your personality. The second, Capricorn, your midheaven. You see where I'm going with this. I'm going to touch more about this in a second, but the midheaven teach you more about your public image, getting you ready, preparing you for the public eye. So whatever sign that's in your 10th house, those that's going to represent the energy of the teachers that show up. For your next, your interpersonal, your relationship, your marriage, the people that show up to get you ready for the 7th house energy, for those contracts, for those lawsuits, for those relationships. The descendant teachers, it's going to be connected to the sign that's in your 7th house, that's on the descendant. And for Cancer, Cancer represents the IC, the lowest point, the 4th house. So whatever sign is in your 4th house, the house that Cancer normally rules, is going to show you the teachers that show up in your life to help you deal with the low points, the low moments, the shadow work, seeing the parts of yourself that you try to hide in your private life. So Cancer, they know emotional intelligence, just like Scorpio knows psychological deaths. You cannot play with them. You cannot lie to them. They've been there. They've done that. They lied to themselves so many times that they know that other people do it. And the lying to themselves has helped them transform themselves. Just like if you lie to them, they're going to mirror that energy back to you and help you transform yourselves and help you see your wrongs. That's a Scorpio. They're determined, especially when it comes to fixing other people, learning other people's psychology. Okay. We have Pisces, the mutable water. The core traits of Pisces is going to be compassionate, imaginative, spiritual. Pisces is going to be the shaman energy, right? They're going to teach you about the tarot, the yoga, the meditation. They're going to take you on those retreats. They're going to be the yogis, the Buddhas, right? The 12th house, the Pisces represents the 12th house, the subconscious minds, the dreams. They're connected to alternate dimensions. They're connected to psychedelics. Now, those two things go together because psychedelics can take you to alternate dimensions. That is Pisces. They are the go with the flow, the mutable. See the way that their modality is expressed. The mutable is adaptive, intuitive, because they will go in the flow, go with the flow as long as it feels right to them, as long as their subconscious mind registers the moment as a moment of opportunity for them to go, right? Because they are a water sign, they are intuitive. So they're not just la la la, they're, they feel their way through life, but they can see the bigger picture. They can imagine a bigger picture, which brings in the delusion, the illusion, the confusion of the 12th house. Sometimes their imagination can be so big that it teeters on the line of being delusional. The way that they're expressed, their water element is being empathetic, being dreamy. That's why the 12th house is connected to dreams. If you know a Pisces moon, it, every time you talk to them, they're probably going to say, "Hey, let me tell you about this dream that I had." That's a Pisces moon. That's the epitome of a Pisces moon. They're so deep with their dreams. They're so deep with, oh man, I got these mushrooms. If you want a good trip, talk to somebody that has Pisces in their ninth house or Neptune in their ninth house. They're going to give you the best tools for seeing alternate dimensions, even in their 12th house. Pisces are deep fillers, very compassionate, all about, like you see, the 12th house is across from the 6th house, and the 6th house is about service to other people, and the 12th house is also about service to other people. But remember, when you pass the 7th house, the descendant over to the 12th house, and we'll get more into this in another level of the course. That is the side of the natal chart that other people can see. So it deals with other people. So when it comes to servicing other people, it's done in a hospital. Whereas the 6th house, it's more service, a manageable type of service, like immediate service. So a manager in position, a service that boosts your own self. So it puts you in a manager position where you can be a service to other people, but you're servicing yourself. 12th house energy is sometimes you can put other people before yourself. So the 12th house deals with hospitals, it deals with mental institutions, asylums, that type of service in other people. Right. So it's really being involved in life in a way, that area of life in a way where Pisces can express its energy, where it's compassionate, where it's spiritual. If you have Pisces in the 5th house, your artwork is going to help people to imagine. It's going to help people, put people in a trance, in a dreamlike state. You're going to help people to feel a bit more spiritual. If you make music, your music is going to have like this type of shaman connection to it, a type of, even you might be talking about astrology, you might be talking about meditation. If you're painting, your painting might be dreamy, like it might be dealing with alternate realms, might be dealing with, psychedelics. You might be involved in using cannabis in order to create. Right. And if it's in your 10th house, if you have Pisces in your 10th house, then that's going to be your public image. People are going to see you as that type of leader. People might even call you a shaman, right? People might see you as being spiritual. People might see you as being, a bit delusional, or probably even being confused on what your public image is in the first place. So wherever the sign is going to be the way that your personality expresses itself in that area of life. And then the planets are going to be the inner life energy, the inner forces that contribute to your personality. So let's say if you have Pisces in your 10th house, but you have Saturn there, then your personality in the public realm is going to be a bit dreamy. It's going to be a bit spiritual. But the way that Saturn comes in is that you're going to help people structure themselves in spirituality, because you yourself have been put in so many trials. Saturn has put you in so many trials to be more spiritual, to be more, intuitive. So you're going to help people to use their own intuition. You might even become a spiritual teacher, because your public image and Saturn being the leader, being the structure, being that old energy, will help people to structure themselves in that way, to build boundaries in that way in their lives. Let's say if you have Cancer in the 3rd house, but you have Jupiter there, the way that you communicate to other people is going to be soft spoken. It's going to be, you might be, you're you might over analyze other people's feelings and be over empathetic. So you might, make sure that you're not yelling, or that people really understand how you're feeling, or in conversations, you might, overcompensate for other people's shortcomings. If somebody doesn't hear people, then you might make sure that that person feels heard, or you might feel over empathetic about your neighbors or your siblings. You might be so involved in your siblings' lives to where you're suffocating them. The way that you communicate, it might be, you might like to learn foreign languages, because Jupiter represents foreign interests. So if it's in your 3rd house of communication, then it's going to bring in you loving to learn new languages. So that's a bit, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I just showed you 2 different ways where you can put these things together, the signs, the houses, right? And the planets. We're going to move right along here. So here you can see you have the glyph for Aries. The 1st house is Aries. So Aries, Mars, 1st house. 2nd house is Taurus, Venus. All right. Taurus and Venus. 3rd house, Gemini, Mercury. Gemini, Mercury. 4th house, the moon, Cancer. The moon, Cancer. 5th house, Leo, Sun. Leo, Sun. 6th house, Virgo, Mercury. That's right. Mercury rules over the 3rd house and the 6th house. So that means Mercury rules over Gemini and Virgo. The 7th house, Libra, Venus. Once again, that's Venus ruling over 2. So Venus rules over the 2nd house and the 7th house, which means Venus rules over Taurus and Libra. The 8th house is Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. So Mars rules the 1st house of Aries and the 8th house of Scorpio. So that means Aries rules over, or Mars rules over Aries and Scorpio. Scorpio is also co-ruled by Pluto. And if you hear a planet or a sign that's ruled by has a co-ruler, then you can assign that co-ruler to the other sign as well. Sagittarius, ninth house, Jupiter. Ninth house, Jupiter. Sagittarius. 10th house, Capricorn, Saturn. 10th house, Capricorn, Saturn. Aquarius, 11th house, Saturn and Uranus. So that means Saturn rules the 10th house and the 11th house, which means Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. Modern times, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. Last but not least, we have Pisces, 12th house, Neptune, and Jupiter. So Jupiter rules the 9th house and the 12th house, which means Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. Pisces is co-ruled by Neptune. So there you have it, the signs that rule the first through the 12th house. So that's going to conclude this portion of learning about the signs. And you know what comes after learning? You got it. A helpful tip and an exercise. So for the signs, a helpful tip is going to be the sun sign represents your creativity, dating style, and youthful energy, among other traits. Meanwhile, your ascendant, your AC, is how you present yourself to the world. It reflects your personality and first impressions. To understand the motivations behind your actions, take time to explore your ascendant sign. So if you want to know more about your personality, look to your ascendant sign and look to the sign that rules your ascendant sign and the planet that rules the sign that rules your ascendant sign, your chart ruler, to learn more about the inner depths of your personality. Next, we have the exercise. Use a free charting tool to create your natal chart and explore the signs and planets in each house. Pay special attention to your midheaven sign to gain insights into your legacy. Your midheaven also reflects the type of mentors or teachers who guide you towards stepping into your spotlight. So there you have it. The midheaven reflects those teachers. And the reason why it's called the midheaven is because it's the closest point to the heavens. So it's the midheavens, the teachers who appear there, your midheaven teachers, those angels get you ready for your public image, the legacy you leave behind, the name that speaks for the energy when you are no longer here. It's the legacy that you leave your family because it opposes the 4th house, the family that you came into. And so the 10th house is the family you're leaving behind. And then in your children's 4th house, that's going to be the legacy that you left. Ah, so beautiful. Astrology. Yes, yes, it is. Okay. So moving right along, we have the lines of fate. The lines of fate sounds so mysterious, doesn't it? Unlocking the access of fate, how the angular houses shape your life's path. Now you know what time it is. Pause the course here. Go ahead and take yourself a stretch it out, take a 3-minute break, take a 6-minute break, or take a 9-minute break, and then come on back so we can finish learning about astrology for beginners. You're doing a great job. You've made it this far. Okay, welcome back to Know Thyself course, Astrology for Beginners. Hope you had a nice stretch, a nice break. We're going to be talking about the lines of fate now. Okay. Now, on this chart for the Kamala Harris, you can see MC and AC. Now, this is on a whole science chart. Let me show you on a Placidus chart. 1 second. So on a Placidus chart, and we here in this course, you're learning on a whole science chart, but I just want to show you on another chart drawing that it shows the IC and the MC. Okay. And so this is one line, this is one axis line, and this is another axis line. Okay. This is your midheaven. This is going to be the ascendant, where the sun was on the horizon, or where the ascendant point was on the horizon when you were born, and the degree that the ascendant point was. This is the horizon, right? This is the axis line, the midheaven, and the IC, the Imam Coeli. Okay. And these angles are connected to certain energies, signs, planets, houses. Okay. Let's get into talking about what these lines of fate mean. Okay. So for the lines of fate, unlocking the axis of fate, how the angular houses shape your life's path. And that's why we're all here, right? To follow the path, to deal the cards that have been dealt, to play the cards that have been dealt, or to deal them, your choice. AC/DC, your personal and relational access. The AC is your ascendant. The ascendant or rising sign. So when you hear somebody ask you, hey, what's your rising sign? They're referring to your AC, your ascendant, right? It represents how you present yourself to the world, including your outward behavior, appearance, and the first impression you make on others, often shaping your approach to new experiences and interactions, because that first impression, it tells people how to interact with you. It tells them about your personality. Whereas on the other side, your descendant tells you how to interact with other people based off of their personality. The descendant is the opposite of the ascendant, showing the qualities you seek in others, especially in close relationships, revealing what you look for in a partner or how you relate to people in one-on-one situations. So they directly affect each other, because your inner personality is going to dictate how you connect with other people based off of their personality, because what you see in others often resides in yourself. Two ends of the same line. All right. AC/DC like the band, AC/DC like hot and cold. No, like the batteries. The MC/IC axis is about career and family. The midheaven, the closest point to heaven, the midheaven reflects your public life, career ambitions, and your reputation, indicating the goals you strive for and how you wish to be seen by the world, often pointing to your life's purpose and professional direction. So usually when people come to me for a reading and they want to know about their career, what they should be doing with their life to make money, they are inquiring about their midheaven, their 10th house, their public image, their legacy. And it brings in other things, other factors in as well when you're doing a career reading for somebody. On the other end of the same line, you have the Imam Coeli. The Imam Coeli represents your home, your roots, your private self, symbolizing your emotional foundation, your family life, an inner world that shapes your sense of security and personal identity. Okay, those are the building blocks of a person, like how they feel, like how comfortable they feel around you, their security level, the emotional connection that they have. What's their emotional foundation? Are they mentally there? Are they emotionally there? Or do they react to every button that's pushed? That's your Imam Coeli, whatever sign that's next to your Imam Coeli, whatever planets there, is going to show you how you are with your security, your personal, your private, right? Just and the Imam Coeli, those teachers are going to be the teachers that show up to teach you about boundaries, to teach you about, you know, your security, that helps you to even show you how to build a better home, that can even provide for you for your home, especially if you have Aquarius there. Your midheaven, again, those teachers are going to get you ready for the public life, for your career, for your legacy, for you preparing your family for their fourth house journey. That is the midheaven. However, for these teachers to appear, the students have to be ready. Let's take it back to the ascendant. For you to truly know who you are, for you to know why you make the moves that you do, for you to learn more about your personality. Imagine every single point, the ascendant, the descendant, the MC, the IC. Imagine every point to have a number. Imagine that number to be a frequency, and your energetic frequency has to match that frequency in order for the teacher to show up. Imagine your energetic frequency to be a coin, that point to be an energetic slot. And in order for you to put your token in that slot for a teacher appear, the energy has to be right. You have to be energetically aligned for that teacher appear. And that's how you know the student is ready, because the energy frequency has transmitted to the outer realms that, oh, the student is ready, so let me go ahead and send in a teacher to teach them more about the personality of the ascendant, of the descendant. Let me get them ready because they have met the point at their descendant line, the energetic frequency. Let me teach them more about interpersonal skills. Let me teach them more about how to read contracts, how to build interpersonal relationships with other people, how to improve their marriage, how to go about seeing who their open enemies are, because the seventh house represents your open enemies, just like the 12th house represents your hidden enemies. So the teachers of your descendant line will teach you how to survive out here in these streets where your open enemies are on every corner. Taking it over next to the midheaven, when you are ready to build a public image, a better legacy for your life, when you start to put in the work, because the 10th house is the work that you put in after you have mastered the skills of your 9th house, because the 9th house and the 10th house are directly connected, because the skills that you put your 10,000 hours in, you take over to the 10th house and you leave for your legacy, your public image. And the teachers that show up, your midheaven teachers, they're going to polish you for your legacy. They're going to polish you for your public image. They're going to make sure that you are ready. If you are falling behind, if you took a hit in a public eye, those teachers are going to show up, and it could be in a form of PR. Teachers can take many forms. And on the other side of that, when you're at your lowest, your Imam Coeli, those teachers show up and they teach you more about shadow work, how to bounce back, how to be resilient, how to build better security so it won't happen again, so you won't get down to that point, how to build up a better home for yourself, how to find out more about your family roots, more about your ancestry. That's your Imam Koeli teacher. So realize that the angels are angels. They're teachers that appear when you are energetically ready. They're fated moments. And that's why the access lines I call the lines of fate, and you have to unlock them. And your awareness is the key, because your awareness is going to raise you up energetically to meet the number at that endpoint for the teachers to appear. Moving right along. Here you can see this diagram. You got the zenith at the top. You got your meridian. Don't worry about those. That's for the advanced. You have your ascendant. You have your descendant here. So at one point, you have your ascendant. You have your descendant. So that is the point where the sun ascends and descends. And here, the point where the sun is at this, where you can consider like a high point, where it's the closest to the zenith, if you will. That's your medium Koeli. That's your MC. And at the other end of the same journey, here you just have the journey of the sun. You have your Imam Koeli, right? So these points energetically, you have to match these for those teachers to appear. And it's right above the horizon. So right when you are right above the horizon of change, right when you are right above a moment where you're about to change your public image, the MC teacher is here. Right when you are at the bottom swing, about to pull yourself back up, you need a little bit of shadow work. You're at the tune-up shop. You need a little bit of tune-up work in order for you to be back in alignment. That's when that Imam Koeli teacher appears. And on the ecliptic, on the elliptical of life, you have the descendant and ascendant. Those teachers, what goes around comes around. So if you miss a teacher the first time, guess what? They're going to come around again, because it's just a journey. It's a cycle. It's a loop. You have more than one interpersonal relationship. So you have many teachers that are, a teacher can appear in the form of a barista, a person without a home in the street, an animal. Be ready. That's why the statement goes, when the student is ready. Because when the student is ready, you will recognize the energy of the teacher, no matter the form. So that's what these points represent. The MC, the IC, the ascendant, and the descendant. Okay, and next we're going to go to the birth chart interpretation. It reveals the unique blueprint of your personality, your purpose, and your potential. We're going to get right into it. How to interpret a birth chart. An overview of your birth chart interpretation. Interpreting a birth chart involves synthesizing the positions of the sun, moon, rising sign, or ascendant, and the planets within the 12 houses and signs to understand a person's personality, life purpose, relationships, and more. By combining the house placements with the signs and planets, you create a fuller picture of someone's energies and life path. Focus on key placements such as the sun, moon, ascendant to start interpreting the core aspects of the chart. Now, I'm going to give you 3 examples of birth chart interpretation. Really simple, so simple a first grader can understand it. Example 1, Sun in Aries, first house. Interpretation. The sun represents the core self and ego. With the sun in Aries, a fire sign, in the first house, the house of self, this person is likely confident, assertive, and energetic, with a strong sense of individuality and a natural inclination toward leadership, because the sun rules the 5th house, right? So that is the energy of yourself, your avatar, your identity, your first name, last name, how you move through the world. In the house of the soul, the I am energy, your birth itself. So that is an emphasis on your identity, emphasis on being energetic, on who you are, for being assertive, on I know who I am, I know where I'm going. They may present themselves as bold and adventurous because you have the sun illuminating the first house, the house of your personality. So you're going to be extra confident, extra, this is my personality. I know I have an infectious personality. I know people love me. Yeah, I don't need to compete with people because I'm just competing with the person I was yesterday. That's Sun and Aries in the first house. But also very compassionate, very empathetic, very youthful spirit. When it comes to being competitive, it's more so like, like playful competitiveness, you know? That's Sun and Aries in the first house. I just want to take you to the chart of Beyonce here, just so I can give you another, you know, freestyle interpretation. Now, okay, so this is a Placidus chart. Let me pull up a. Okay, so for Beyonce's chart, in her first house, you can see she's a Libra. So the first thing you notice about Beyonce is what? Her beauty, right? She's all about her relationships. I don't know her personally, but I can guarantee you throughout her life, her defining moment of her defining like attribute of her personality is her relationships. Her relationship speaks for her personality. People can be obsessed with her because she has Pluto here at the 22nd degree. So people can be obsessed with her because of her career. She has Venus at the same degree as her ascendant. So, what does this mean? Her defining feature of her personality, 333 on the clock as I read this, is her beauty. She has Mercury in her first house at the second degree. Her voice is very like distinctive. Her voice is a defining characteristic of her personality, how disciplined she is. Very disciplined. To have Saturn in your ninth house, or I'm sorry, your first house at the ninth degree, extremely disciplined, good with boundaries. And just her personality is very she's big on her relationships with other people because she has Jupiter in Libra and Uranus deacon. So Jupiter is expanding that connections that she have, her relationships, the contracts that show up in her life. She's been contractually bounded to some type of energy her entire life since she came out the womb. She's been about friendships forever. Can't leave the house without looking flawless. That's Libra energy. And she has Venus here. So anybody that has a planet in their first house, that is going to be the planet that speaks for them. Let me give you an example. In this first house, let's say somebody only had Mercury here. Then when you meet them, you're going to meet their voice because Mercury represents the throat chakra. Mercury represents communication. Mercury represents your to-do list, your how you go about like asserting your schedule to the world, how you go about servicing other people. So somebody who has Mercury in the first house, they're a people pleaser. They're over analytical, but their voice is going to be very, and depending on what degree If their Mercury was at the third degree, then their voice would be even extra, like it would be like crisp, it would be raspy, it'd be some type of like Scarlett Johansson has Mercury in her first house. So there you go. Okay, so these planets, remember, these are the inner forces. So these are going to be the building blocks of your personality. And then the sign is going to be how that energy is expressed, right? So Mercury, it asserts himself like when it comes to contract, she has to be the divining speaker, the closer in that energy, right? When it comes to discipline, that means that you can't connect with her unless you're in her inner circle. When it comes to psychology, with like she's if you're inner circle, like she has to know you on the deepest level psychologically because it's only 2 degrees away from her ascendant. So deep, like deep psychological, like when it comes to getting to know somebody, this will be the person that would, research your family's history before they introduce themselves to you, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like they want to get to know you on the deepest level. They want to be in you. Pluto wants to be in you, like to add themselves to you. So just know whatever planet shows up in a house in that area, let's say if Pluto was here in the seventh house, then this is the house of the marriage, the partner, the relationships, then she would have partners that are obsessed with her, friends that are obsessed with her. Pluto also rules over the sexual organs. So use your imagination, you know, that's the eighth house. Here's Chiron. We have a window of Chiron. That's for intermediate course. Here, Neptune in the third house. There's that dreamy type of communication, but also singing. Now, here's something I want to point out to you. If you have Neptune in your third house, you're going to be some type of singer, some type of entertainer, but you're going to be using your voice, right? Remember when I said Neptune represents music, acting, Hollywood? She has it in her house of communication. And it's in Sagittarius. Sagittarius represents, remember, higher learning, something that you spend the 10,000 hours on. So she's using her voice, her third house voice, the area of life, for her career, for singing. That's Neptune. Remember what it represents? And she gained her 10,000 hours in what? Using her voice and singing in Hollywood. So you can see how these things combine. And here you have the part of fortune. We're not going to go over the part of fortune in a beginner's course, but I just want to show you how you can easily combine these things and to show you that you can start to do this for yourself so you can start to know thyself. Okay, let's dive back into the second example. Oh, right. For the second example, we have moon in Cancer, fourth house. Interpretation. The moon governs emotions and instincts. In Cancer, a water sign, it's in its natural home, highlighting emotional sensitivity and a strong connection to family and home life. Placed in the fourth house, the house of home and family, this person finds deep emotional fulfillment in nurturing family relationships and creating a safe, emphasis on safe, and secure home environment. 99% they're going to be an introvert with this placement and very, very intuitive, extremely intuitive, scary intuitive, psychically intuitive. All right. That was probably like 3 or 4 examples. So we're going to go straight into the recap. Okay, astrology recap. Key insights and takeaways from your cosmic journey. Hopefully you have that notebook filled out with all type of helpful hints thus far. So to recap the journey, you've learned the basics of astrology, right? Just simple, the basics, nothing too hard or complicated, including the 12 houses, planets, zodiac signs, and the key axes, the AC and DC, and the MC and IC that shape your birth chart. We've also covered how to interpret a birth chart and how these elements interact and create a unique map of your personality and life path. The next steps: continue exploring your own birth chart by focusing on key placements like your sun, moon, and rising sign. Practice interpreting charts for friends, family, or famous figures to deepen your understanding of astrology. If you're ready, dive deeper into more advanced topics like aspects, transits, and progressions to expand your astrological knowledge. Now, here's where I step in and say, hey, guys, if you made it this far and you're still curious, you're still interested, you're still inquisitive, you want to learn more, your thirst has not been quenched, well, that's great news, because I also have that I'm preparing for you a course on aspects, a retrogrades workshop, an astrocartography course, a house course that covers the cadent houses, the succeeding houses, the angular houses, a North Node and a South Node webinar, body astrology, and more. And these will all be available on the website where you can just go, press a button, press play, and learn at your own time, learn at your own free will. I curated this course so that people can really just step into astrology with just learning the super basics. I mean, just the bare basics, the houses, the signs, and the planets. And if you wanted to take a next step, then you can start to dive into the aspects, which is super important, one of the most important parts of the entire process. So you can start to learn about the aspects, meaning the minor and the major aspects. You start to learn about the annual perfection years, the different houses that deal with different body parts, your North Node, your South Node, which are the lunar nodes, the retrogrades. These are different components of the natal chart, of astrology. But I didn't want to pack it all in one video because, one, it would have been expensive. Two, it would have been too much at one time. And then three, after the beginner's course, you can decide, okay, I like this and I want to go further, or I think I want to stop here and just digest this for a second and see if I want to go further. All right. So this course has been in the making for a while. I just put it together recently, but people have been asking for it. And I wanted to do something that was special for the people that I connect with, that I could see they really need help in learning about themselves, remembering who they are, and most importantly, to know thyself. So by taking your journal from today, by taking your amazing astrology journal that you got for this course to start with, and this is only the beginning. I want you to take that journal, take your desire to learn more, and I want you to take the next steps. Come back, learn about aspects, learn about retrogrades, learn about annual perfection years, so that you can learn more about yourself and you can help to learn more about the people around you and to teach them about themselves, so that you can become the teacher when those students are ready for you to appear in their lives. Poof, like a genie. Okay. Closing inspiration. Astrology is a tool for self-awareness, growth, and understanding others. By learning the language of the stars, you can unlock deeper layers of your own potential and purpose. Embrace your personal journey and continue to explore the cosmic influences that shape your life. I have a call of action before you leave, ladies and gents. Stay curious and keep learning. If you feel inclined to do so, if you feel like you have gained something from this course, if you feel elated, excited, ready to take the next steps, join the 5D Mystery School community for more in-depth courses and interactive learning. We have a Patreon, have a Discord where you can come join in daily discussions, daily meditations. You can follow me for more astrology insights, tips, and resources. And last but not least, download the worksheets and PDFs to continue your practice and keep exploring. That's right. I created some fun learning tools, some learning guides for you that's going to go along with this course that you can take wherever you are. You can learn wherever you are, at the airport, at a funeral, somebody's birth, although those are peculiar places to learn, but you can learn there. You can have them there, right? How are you going to get in contact with me? Great question. If you have questions, I have answers, hopefully. You can send those questions over to Saturn1h@outlook.com. You can email those to Saturn1h, H as in house, as in first house, because I have Saturn in my first house. Remember, I told you at the beginning of this course. Saturn first house at Outlook.com. So Saturn1h at Outlook.com. You can also reach me on Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube at Astro5D on YouTube. I'm also 5D Mystery School. And of course, the community is on Discord, and the official 5D Mystery School platform is Patreon, where we have a book club, a film club. There are lessons that have been recorded that you can come and learn. There's a blog, there's a vlog, there's all sorts of fun stuff. We play games on Discord, play checkers, chess, film nights, all sorts of fun stuff. So if you're looking for a community to come and just to be a part of, if you're an introvert, don't worry, I'm an introvert as well. You'll be amongst the introverts, so no pressure to come and do a song and dance or anything. But I just want to show you the utmost gratitude for taking time out to learn more about yourself and the world around you, for learning more about the messages that have been written in the stars for you to see, so you can remember who you are, and for you to take a deeper dive into knowing thyself. Again, you can head over to astro5d.com or myastroherbs.com to take a look at my online herb shop, to take a look at other courses for you to continue your learning. Again, I want to say gratitude to you. Many, many blessings, much love on your journey, your spiritual journey. And I'm grateful for you that I have been a part of this journey. Much love.
5D Mystery School.